My name is Isabel Geller. I'm from St. Andrews in Ayr. And for those of you who don't know where Ayr is, if you go out Route 2, and just before you cross into the next diocese, that's where we are. We do exist. We're little. I'm here to talk about something we've done in the past year, something near and dear to my heart, congregational growth. This is our little church. We're really small. We can shoehorn about 165 in there. I don't know if legally, but we did it. A couple years ago, we were faced with a problem. 5 families, most of whom were people retiring, were moving away. And these are longtime parishioners whose time, talent, and treasure giving to our church was also going away with them. And we were looking at an empty church, and we were looking at a deficit of $25,000 in our budget. That's pretty scary, as you know. And so we started talking about, what are we going to do? We thought, well, we could just sit around and pray. We could reduce salaries, but unfortunately, we don't have a full-time priest. We don't have a full-time administrator. Reducing their salaries is not going to help us. Or we could go to the well again and get into our investments. We knew that wasn't going to work, so the only other option is, well, we've got to start growing the congregation. And we're called to do that, to spread the gospel. So what we did was we started laying the foundations for building a congregational growth campaign. What we first did is quietly start submitting press releases to our local newspapers every week. If we had anything to announce, the choir was starting, Sunday school was starting, we had a musician coming in, we had a guest speaker coming in, anything we could think of, we put in the newspaper. And a couple people would trickle in. We did some advertising, we did some lawn signs. And it was starting to come together a little bit, but we needed to do more. So I stumbled across on Facebook, because I'm addicted to Facebook, I stumbled across Episcopal Cafe and an article written by Charles LaFond, who's a priest from the Diocese of New Hampshire. He now lives in the Southwest. And he wrote an article about how he was in an airport and he was walking by a Joseph A. Banks. The salesman saw him looking at some clothes and said, "Hey, why don't you come on in and look at this?" And he said, No, I don't want to buy anything. And the salesman said, "Just come on in. Just come and see." Well, he didn't end up buying what he was originally looking at, but he did walk out having made a purchase, and a light went off. So Charles designed this program for congregational development called Come and See. He got the name from Paul's Gospel, and 3 different times where we hear Jesus saying, or Philip saying, somebody saying, "Come and see. Come and see what this is about. I'm not going to tell you anything more about it. Make your own decisions, but do come and see." So we contacted Charles LaFond, and he walked us through his program. And he said, first of all, I want you to look at your calendar, and I want you to pick 3 Sundays, and I want you to designate them as Come and See Sundays. So we had to start. The first stage of this program is we had to make our space welcoming. And that means we had to make sure the place was clean, it looked nice. This is our sanctuary at Easter. Have nice flowers, make sure there's toilet paper in the bathrooms. These are things that people actually remember when they walk into your space. The other thing we had to do is we had to talk to our parishioners. And we had to say, do you know how to welcome people when they come in? When someone new comes in, do you say, "Hi, I'm Isabel. Do you want to be on altar guild?" Or, we've got 3 open seats on the vestry. Do you want to be on our vestry? And these people are like, what is a vestry? So we had to talk to them. So our first step with the parishioners was sitting down with them one-on-one or in groups saying, what's working well for you here at St. Andrews? And what could we be doing better? And this gave us lots of information, but it also made them feel that they were important, that their thoughts and concerns mattered, and that in this program, they weren't going to be left behind when we were welcoming new people in. It also made them feel a little bit stronger because we know when new people come in, they don't just wander in, yay, I'm at church. They wander in with burdens. And if those of us who are there to welcome them are strong enough to help them carry those burdens, they're more likely to stay. So then, this is one of my favorite pictures. The woman on the left is Blanche Foss, who died last December. And one of my dear friends, Barbara Kim, is on the right. Wonderful, wonderful people. We had to talk to people about how to approach their friends and extend a welcoming, personal invitation. Now, most people would rather ask a friend to take them to a medical appointment than to go to church with them. So we sat them down and we said, well, we've taught you how to welcome people, so this is how you talk about your faith. What does your faith mean to you? And it got them talking with each other. Well, my faith means this, or St. Andrew's helps me with that. And it got them excited. And then we asked them to do something even scarier. We want you to go and talk to 3 people for 30 minutes about St. Andrew's. And we want you to fill out a pledge form with those names and addresses of the people that you talk to. Now, I'll be honest, we got 3 forms back. But I got a lot of excuses too. Well, I didn't want to give you the names and addresses, but I talked to this friend or I talked to that friend, and I think they're coming. Maybe they won't, but maybe they will. And they were excited about doing it. And all of a sudden the buzz at church is getting a little bit more exciting as this time is approaching. And we said, we want you to invite your friends or your relatives or the grocery cashier to come to one of our 3 designated Come and See Sundays. We picked last year, Easter, because that's a great time to have people come in because the place is going to look nice. And the 2 Sundays after, a low Sunday, and then the Sunday after that. So they had something to go for. They could say, please come, it's Easter, we're going to have a big coffee hour, and it's going to be fun. And they did. The next thing we did is we reached out to the community. Now, in doing this, I'll back up a little bit and say that to put this program together, we applied to the diocese for a congregational development grant, which we were given, and we used that money to do direct mail campaigns. Now, I know that a lot of people say, direct mail doesn't really work, but in our case, it has always worked. So what we did is we sent out 8,500 pieces of mail. There were 3 different mailings. The front was pretty much the same. The back had different information each time. This one is about Sunday, Easter Sunday, and the children's egg hunt and when our Eucharist is. Obviously, a picture, directions, and the website. Please clean up your website before you do this. We also put out banners to say, please come. So 8,500 of these went out, and we started seeing people trickle in. We also put out lawn signs, very effective where we are. I don't know if they work in the city, but in the rural areas, they're really effective. We did press releases, we did advertisements, multifaceted. So we have people talking, we have people getting mail, we have people driving by and seeing our signs. Please come and see us. The next thing we did is we did fellowship opportunities beyond the service. One of the things that scares people about going to church or trying a new church is they can't see themselves within your sanctuary. So what we did is we did concerts, we did speaker series, we did anything we could to invite people into our space so they could see themselves in that physical space, so they could meet our parishioners and get to know St. Andrew's, to share our coffee hour or our receptions, and it seemed to work. So our event, this was our most recent event. It was in June. It was actually held at Groton School, but we did a huge reception afterwards, and we got a couple parishioners, new parishioners, just from this event. We have, coming up, we have a cabaret that people will come to. We have a fair that people will come to. We have an event called In a Manger, where we have 500 manger scenes that we put out in our parish hall and our sanctuary. So people can come, no pressure, get to talk to us and see themselves. As part of the concerts that we do, we have programs. And in these programs, we put in what we're all about, who St. Andrews is, the kind of outreach we do, and leave it open for people to come and talk to us about who and what we are. So we've done all these things. We've done a personal invitation. We've reached out to the community. We've cleaned up our physical space. So how have we done? This was taken last spring for a parade. In this picture, we have some very new parishioners, and we have some very old parishioners. The baby there, baby Evelyn, is not our youngest parishioner anymore, but the woman with the walker still is. She's 100 years old, and she was part of our parade. She turned 100 at our big concert in June. So how have we done? Our attendance has increased by at least 30%. There have been some Sundays over the summer that we're double what we normally do in a Sunday. Now for us, that means we have 10, 15, or 20 more people than we usually have, but that's a pretty good increase in what we do. Our budget's balanced. We made up that deficit of $25,000, and we're doing okay. The energy and excitement we see every day when the visitors come in, and it's excitement and energy from those visitors, but also from the congregation who's there to welcome them. And I go back to what we've done with our current parishioners. When we taught them how to talk about their faith and how to talk and welcome other people, they grew themselves. So our congregational growth is not just in numbers, it's not just in money, it's each and every person growing in their own faith and being able to share that. So here, we're gonna do it again. Because just like you do a stewardship campaign for money probably in the fall like we do, we will do a stewardship campaign for people in the spring. We'll continue this with our direct mail. We sent a mailing out just a couple weeks ago. We'll continue to have forums and invite speakers to come in and work with people on developing their faith in Jesus and their activities at St. Andrews that build us in a community. So we're going to tweak what worked and make it better. We're going to celebrate and we're going to pray. Thanks.